Hello, good people. Hello. Welcome back to another car conversation or Make America Think Again. If you are just listening to the podcast online, I have here my handles at the bottom for Instagram. I also threw in my Cash App there, $1111 Oracle, for anyone who would like to just bless me because y'all prices are going up. Okay, everything's going up. This tariff war, everything is going up. So I am not above asking for a blessing or welcoming a blessing. $1111 Oracle. Okay, so let's get into it. I wanted to talk about the state of the people. So that's manufactured state of America. It wasn't a true state of the union. I don't know what they were calling it. He was just invited to speak. But there was another organization who it came about like within, I don't know, a week, 48 hours. It was a very short period of time. And they ran 24 hours, just straight information, especially for people of color, Black folks specifically. So hopefully you were able to watch some of the state of the people. You can probably definitely find some of the videos online on YouTube, probably, if you weren't able to catch it. So they were encouraging folks to stick with them through on the state of the people throughout the whole 24 hours. So not only they could address the lies that were going to be told last night from Felon 47, but also kind of preemptive, give you information, news that you need to know as a person of color or a Black person. Well, just a person of color, because, you know, we all going through the same thing. So one segment, one block I found really, really interesting. And I talked about this when I talked about Project 2025. And so you can find that video, but the whole push to eliminate birthright citizenship. I've said this to you before, and I'm hoping the more I say it, it will wake some people up. So the whole push or the whole narrative that you're hearing around the 14th Amendment right now, birthright citizenship, is connected to migration. It's connected to immigrants, specifically those migrating from Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, etc. Okay, you're hearing a lot of conversation around that. And this would include dreamers, by the way, as well. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment, was implemented because of Black people or for Black people that were born in the United States from slaves. So in order to establish us, descendants of slaves, as American citizens, the 14th Amendment was codified into law. Now, if this administration, Felon 47 regime, is able to roll back the 14th Amendment, right now what they're telling you is that it's about anyone migrating to this country. It's about anyone who's just coming to the, and this is their words, not mine, just coming to this country to have anchor babies, etc. DACA. They're trying to give you a linear focus on that group. And also, so we all scapegoat that group. But ultimately, again, if this law was created for you, Black people, why do you think it will not circle back to you at some point? Because the whole Make America Great Again slogan, theory, ideology, etc., it is connected to white supremacy. It is connected to America. When they say America first, they're not talking about us. They're talking about them. They're talking about white America and putting white America first again, because for some reason they feel like they've lost their place. But that's a whole other conversation. So we have to understand that birthright citizenship is under attack, but don't jump on the bandwagon because you think, or don't just sit around and just not be worried about it because you think it will not impact you. It will. It will impact you, Black folks. So pay attention to that. Also, don't know whether or not you're aware of this or not, but right now, we do not have a civil rights division in the DOJ. They got rid of it. So any civil rights claims that you might have or lawsuits that you might want to bring in regards to a violation of any of the civil rights, there is no department to deal with that. If you cannot resolve that on your local state level, there's no department to deal with that. And that is if your state even kept it. Because red states are following whatever Felon 47 is doing. The EEOC, again, trying to remove all the DEI programs, also gives cover for anyone to fire or hire at will whomever they want. If they could literally say, I just want white people for this job. I just want Asian people for this job. And not have to face any consequences anymore because they're getting rid of DEI programs. And then the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is gone. They got rid of that. So what you would normally do is file a claim with the EEOC, and you could also go through the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ, but those departments are gone. They got rid of them. Now let's talk about privatization of prisons. There's a reason why they're pushing to, let me back up. So again, tied to migration. If you've noticed, they're sending people to Guantanamo Bay, okay? And they're sending them to other areas to where and they're also trying to establish more facilities and where they can hold them, just like they did with the separation of families and putting the babies in cages. They're recreating that whole thing again. Now, how this ties into the privatization of prisons, if you move away from federal prisons and you give these prisons over to, corporations, one is supporting their billionaire buddies, that 800 class of people that we've talked about, or I've talked about repeatedly, to benefit them financially. But you're also creating another labor market. So where they're saying, okay, you're just going to hurt up for a little bit farmers and builders and restaurant owners and whatever industry, hotel management industry, whatever industry is hurting because they are taking people that work in those industries and telling us, because we don't have any updated reports, telling us that they're sending them back to their countries, but they're also holding them in these facilities. I guarantee you some of these facilities are going to become more than midway facilities or just holding facilities for temporary status. I guarantee you it's going to become more than that, and people are going to financially benefit off of these holding facilities. And then how that ties into Black and brown people, let me give you an example. So just yesterday, I saw a video of, I think his name is Charlie Kirk, racist. No, it wasn't Charlie Kirk. It was that other little dude, the little dude with the little mousy voice. And I know some of you that follow me are MAGA people, so you immediately know who I'm talking about. But anyways, he was pushing to release a pardon for Felon 47 to pardon Derek Chauvin. And apparently this is a thing with the MAGA folks. Here's what I want you to be mindful of, Black folks. It's a trap. It's bait. Because they aren't seeing us out at these protests. They aren't seeing us in the streets. So they want to try to create a situation where they can either lock more Black people up, they can potentially unalive more Black people, and then ultimately invoke martial law. Because if you get the country to a place, if he can invoke martial law, then he has complete control of the country. And they tried this before, remember. He was pushing for this during the George Floyd protests, along with shooting protesters in the leg and bringing in the National Guard on protesters, etc. He was also pushing and wanting to implement martial law then. And I just wish that we'd have the same energy as South Korea had. One mention of martial law in South Korea in the middle of the night, like their president or whatever his position is called, he mentioned it like somewhere between 10 and midnight. And people took to the streets at night and helped their leaders in what their Congress is, whatever it's called, their assembly, help them to get in to vote against this dude to prevent martial law. I wish we had that same kind of energy, but I digress. So you have to continue to connect the dots. If you have privatization of prisons, then and on top of that, what they want to do is create more ways of arresting Black and brown, and I'm going to also include poor white folks, even though y'all don't want to believe that you are part of the other. You are. If they can find different ways to continue to incarcerate more people, they are creating a whole other workforce that they can pay pennies on the dollar and make billions off of their backs. So that's what you're seeing with privatization of prisons. You're seeing the same similar privatization with Department of Education. There will be people at the top that will benefit from this whole voucher system that they're trying to push. And then Black and brown and poor white people who cannot afford, even if they're given a $10,000 voucher, still can't afford to send their kid to the $20,000 a year school. What's going to happen to them? Who's going to educate them? Homeschool? The parents have to work. The parents have to work. So, and the parents might be working 2 or 3 jobs already to do what they're doing right now. So you got to continue to connect the dots, people, and see where they're trying to lead you. Don't take the bait on this Derek Chauvin shit. Do not take the bait. They want us in the streets. They want to be able to arrest more Black and brown people. They want to be able to unalive as many of us as they possibly can. And when I say they, I'm talking specifically white supremacy. I'm talking specifically white Christian nationalists who believe they should be at the top of the food chain and nobody else matters. I'm talking specifically Heritage Foundation, etc. I'm talking about all the machine behind MAGA. They don't want us here. We are not the Americans that they speak of. So any way that they can get rid of us, whether it is locking us up or unaliving people, that's the plan. And you can't fall for the okie doke. You just can't. We can't. So how do I suggest that we are more mindful and sticking together? I'm trying to read some other notes that I took from this segment because it was really, really good. So they talked about buying power, and the economic boycotts are going on. I'm going to do a separate one where I can catch you up to all the facts. But again, we got Starbucks is laying off. We got Target is laying off. The Dow plummeted for 2 days in a row, like because of this whole tariff war that Felon 47 has created. So we're doing our part, and then Felon 47 is actually doing some of the work for us. So there's that. But I do want you to know about your buying power. So when I started talking about the economic boycotts this time around, because I've been talking about it for years, I've been talking about it since COVID, but finally people are on board and I'm happy about it. So just in the African American community, there's $2 trillion. We contribute $2 trillion, $2 trillion to the GDP. 52% of that comes directly from spending of Black women. Okay? $3 trillion contributed to the national GDP comes from millennials and Gen Z. So millennials and Gen Z, I want you to hear me. Please, I hope you are on board. We got a new boycott that's starting, economic boycott that's starting Friday the 7th and running through the 14th. Amazon. I know Amazon is your bag. I know Amazon is your thing, but you gotta stay away from Amazon. 1 week is 7 days. Stay away from them. Don't spend your money with them. Again, look at the power you have. You have buying power, $3 trillion. Join organizations. Join organizations because, again, collectively is how we win. We can't be all over here, all us individually doing our own thing, all willy-nilly. Support the NAACP, support the ACLU, support on-ground grassroots organizations. Join them because you need community just for your safety. You're going to need community, but you're also going to need community to do this work. It's going to make it easier and it's going to be more impactful when we are collectively working together. And then the last thing I want to say, I didn't mean for this one to be that long. The last thing I want to say is we were not born with the spirit of fear or hate. You were not. And if you're thinking, well, kids fear things, children start to fear things when parents and their caregivers instill that in them. This is the reason why we have to go buy those little things to close off outlets, and we have to put the little corners on glass tables. This is why you baby-proof a home, because children, we don't come into this world with fear. We come into this world with curiosity. There might be a little apprehension, but fear, no. If the child gets it in their mind that they really want to, climb out of the crib or slide down whatever stairwell they see, they're going to do it. And we also aren't born with hate. That's a learned behavior, So while you're out here, doing the work and out here in the streets and people are trying to instill fear in you and trying to instill hate in you, this is something that you would have to make a conscientious decision to accept that you are going to adhere to that behavior. And if you do not feel that that is not naturally, organically of you, then don't do it. Have no fear. Do not harbor hate in your heart. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with, I saw this and I was like, I'm using this for something else, but this is just perfect. Quote from Alice Walker: the most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. You have power. We all have power. And collectively, we have insurmountable, monumental power. I'll talk to you all soon.